Hi,
Hey,
guys. Good to see you. Good to see everyone. Thank you, guys. Those of you that will be watching us. So, my name is Victor Akunna, and with me today is my lovely wife. Together, we run Foundation for Family Affairs with the sole vision of connecting heart and raising healthy families. When families are healthy, the community will be healthy. When families are healthy, the government will be healthy. When families are healthy, the society, every fabric of the society will feel the impact. And that's why we want to be sharing something quite interesting today. And before I go on, I would like her to introduce herself. For those of you that will be meeting her for the first time, she wears many hats. She's someone I've known for a while. She's my best friend. And I want her to say something about herself. So introduce yourself to our viewers.
thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you. My name is Chidi Akunna. And like you rightly said, I partner with you in this journey, and it's been a phenomenal journey. I'm loving the transformation I'm seeing in myself, in our marriage, and then in the lives of those around us, in the lives of those we coach. So, yes, I
So,
wear many hats. I am a lawyer, I am a practicing solicitor, and I work as a coach as well. I do many things, but I won't forget to say I am a wife and a mother. I think
fantastic.
that tops my list.
Yep. And you're also an author.
Yes,
Yep.
I am.
Yeah, we've written a number of books together. So just go straight to what we have today. So there are a lot of things that have been happening. Last year we saw a soaring issues and complaints around domestic violence. So I'd like to ask you, so why have you decided to talk about domestic violence at this crucial time?
Hmm. Thank you for that question. I mean,
Mm,
I work with a lot of people. I every day have contact with people, a lot of people in domestic violence relationships. Okay, and the sad thing is, it hits home when you realize that these are human beings like you. These are individuals. We can all sit behind our screens and think and talk about domestic violence and forget that real human beings go through the experience. And sometimes it's really heart wrenching when you work with people, when you meet people and you can see how badly they are because they have been beaten up by the domestic violence situation in their relationship. Okay, I mean, I
mm,
wouldn't want to go too far, but domestic violence does a lot of damage to people. It robs
mm,
people of their dignity, which is
mm,
a fundamental human right. Okay,
mm,
it just strips them of their humanity, right? You see people who are in domestic violence situations and they lose their self-esteem. Now,
mm,
working with, I came in contact with someone a few weeks ago, and that kind of stirred my heart. Over time, I mean, since the pandemic, there's been an avalanche of cases of domestic violence. But as you work with some people, there are people you work with, and you connect so much with them, and it leaves you feeling really bad, especially when it's situations that you really can't force these people to do what they have to do, because ultimately the choice is theirs. You can't force them,
mm,
but you know that, hey, they're better off outside this relationship, but then they're hanging in there for some obvious reasons. Okay, I'll just highlight a few. Some would say, I can't leave my children. Okay, and some are financially incapacitated. So where do you want them to go to? Right. So I came in contact with someone in the past few weeks, and that person left an indelible mark. I was so, I bled for some days, and I thought, come on, I think it's about time I talked a bit about it. Yes.
mm. Wow, I like the passion that comes from your heart. And you did say something about domestic violence robs people of their dignity. I mean, I've seen people who were, before they got married or before they got into that kind of complex situation, they were the life of the party. They were up and mobile. And all of a sudden, you just see someone cowering under a situation. see someone, fidgeting, little thing that they are able to just conquer. You see them shrinking and then able to do something about it. So why does that, what does this mean so much to you? You talked about dignity. Why is this so important to you?
When I work with some clients, okay, I know I have to work with them as a lawyer, but it gets to
Mm,
that point where I have to, for some minutes, drop the hat of being a lawyer and work with them as a coach, right? And
mm,
as I look at some of these things, of course, before I go on, I must differentiate between relationship with issues and relationship with domestic violence situations. Okay, there are two
mm,
different things, because some people listening to us might just think, oh yes, there's domestic violence in our relationship, in my relationship, and I'll tell you
mm,
why. Okay, it's down to the definition out there, right?
mm,
But when we talk, so talking about it, it's good for people to understand the difference. So in that case,
mm,
they know that, hey, there are things knowledge would help you fix in your relationship. Okay. And then when we even talk about domestic violence situations, they're still lacking in knowledge as well. You see marriages that are potentials, like they have the potential of being great, but because they're bereft of knowledge,
mm.
they get themselves in situations that begin to eat into the fabrics of their relationship. Okay, and
Mm.
there's nothing there. So, sorry, take me back again. I could go on and on this topic, but what was your question? I want to stay
Yes,
within the
yes.
question.
Well, yeah, well, I like what you're saying. You are creating a context for my question,
Mhm.
really. That's why I'm kind of allowing you to flow. But my original question was, why is this so important to you? You talked about dignity. Why is this so important to you?
Um, I mean, that's at the heart of what I do, right? I believe that every human being is worthy. Every human being created by God is worthy. Every human being created by God is valued. And it is
Mm,
sad when you see people, because one thing domestic violence does to people is it affects their performance. So they start underperforming. So it is sad when you see people who can be more, people who can do more, and they're being affected
mm,
because of the kind of situation they found themselves in, right? So that gets to me when I see that. I believe that if we would know our worth, first of all, know our identity, know who we are, and then discover our
mm,
purpose for being here. There is an assignment for your life. There is
mm,
something God has planted you in this world to do, right? So
mm,
when we know that, we're able to flourish, we're able to be, right? But when we find ourselves in domestic violence situations, it makes us cringe. It steals from us. And that gets to me. I don't like that. I am very big on dignity. People should be treated with respect and honor. Humanity should be respected. Humanity should be honored. Yes.
mm. Wow, I like the word. There's a phrase called Ubuntu. We are because I am. I am because you
Yeah.
are. And so it's something that talks about the humanity of our collective humanity is existing because of our individual humanity. So when we see one person suffering, is the society that is suffering. And I think this quote comes to mind at this time, by Martin Luther King Jr. He said, when there is injustice somewhere, there is injustice everywhere. When there is injustice somewhere, there is injustice everywhere. So sometimes I like the fact that you said this is important to you, because sometimes we hear about these statistics and we forget that these are human beings. These are people that are being scarred for life. And some situations involve children. And so this is moving from one generation to the next generation. And so instead of putting a stop to this tide, we're just seeing them as statistics. Oh, well, thank goodness it's not happening to me. But that's somebody, that's a human being, that's a life right there that has been impacted. So, having said this, so what is your own definition of domestic violence to kind of give us some form of context?
Okay, I will start with the United Nations definition, which is simply maintaining power or control. So when you're in that situation where you want to control another, that's a domestic violence situation. Okay. And someone could look at that and think, oh, but what's that? Deal with it. No, it is very severe in some situations. And that's why it's called domestic violence. But before I go on, I'd like to give you the Home Office guidance on domestic violence, right? Just to give some context to it. And they have described it as any incident or pattern of incidents of controlling, coercive, or threatening behavior, violence or abuse between those aged 16 or over who are or have been intimate partners or family members, regardless of gender or sexuality. Now, this includes different forms of abuse: psychological abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse. Yes. Okay. So to talk about it, when we talk about financial abuse, because um, it's funny when I relate with some people, when I deal with some clients, you see clients who tell you, "Oh, I don't think when a wife, permit me to use this example, when a wife then says to you, I go to work and I come back, and at the end of the month, I have to submit all I earn to him, and he has to give me what he thinks I need. But what he gives to me is nothing. I can't even buy things for myself. I can't buy things for the children, right? Now, talking about this, a man in this kind of situation may come to you and say, hey, what's wrong with that? I saw that growing up, my dad had to give my mom handouts, okay, to do things. But that's not the question. That's not the problem here now is that you are giving her handouts, but it's not enough. It's not meeting her needs. So at that point, you're taking from her. She feels less. She feels controlled. You see, there's no liberty for her to do what she has to do. She's worked for it. So you're taking from her dignity, really. So when we talk about physical abuse, obviously, that's one hitting you, okay? One punches you. Emotional abuse, they make you feel very small. That's why you see, when I was talking earlier, I said to you, some of these issues, knowledge on the matter can deal with it. I mean, it is sad when you see people who have been married for years and they tell you, I've never been to a marriage seminar, and they think it's okay. No, it's not. This is your life. Okay. So if you have to go to school to be trained to do what you do, then you should seek knowledge about marriage if that's what you'll be doing for the rest of your adult life. Okay. It's really, really crucial, because by the time you seek knowledge on how to do marriage, you realize that marriage should be for the benefit of the both of us. Okay. One person in the marriage shouldn't be feeling threatened. I mean, why would you threaten another individual? You see, like they will tell you, oh, yes, we are, by reason of marriage, exclusive partners, right? But when it gets to that point, I mean, I have this lines just to give an example. And she went to her doctor, and the doctor was saying to her, no, this is not your menstrual cycle. There's something up there. And she was so insistent. It is. Until when things went south. And then what was the problem? He would force himself on her and have sex with her in a way that left her bleeding. Now that's abuse. That's a domestic violence situation. You have sex with someone you claim you love to the point that she bleeds. Hey, and she bleeds for days. Now some force themselves and decide to have anal sex with these women. No, talking about domestic abuse, like you see from the definition I read earlier, it affects both genders. It's not just peculiar to women, okay? But I'm just using this as an example, okay? Don't forget that the Office of National Statistics in the UK has its statistics, and it put it out there to say that 1 in 3 women in their lifetime will be impacted by domestic violence. Now, this is statistics they already have. Okay, and then talking about England and Wales alone, two women are killed every week by a current partner or a former partner. Now that's to tell you how how bad this really is. And don't forget that with the wake of the pandemic, I mean, a lot of things happened. People became really intolerant. People became less patient with themselves. So things haven't been so well, you see. But these are examples. Psychological abuse. So when you get to that point where you're seeking to maintain control over somebody, and sometimes it's painted with words that people do not understand, especially people from the collectivist societies, right? When I say collectivist societies like Asia, Africa, where cultural influences are very prevalent. So in such cases, they'll tell you, oh, you have the power distance, isn't it? Is that what you call it? The power distance. So women are meant to are seen as subservient to men. No, that shouldn't be the case. So a woman just stays there and puts up with things. And that's why, yes, the man has sex with her until she's bleeding, and she thinks it's okay. She's been socialized into thinking it's okay. Really sad. Really, really sad.
Fantastic. I like how you expanded the definition, explained the definition, and contextualized the definition. Because sometimes many women are in, well, let me not be stereotypical. Many people are in a domestic situation, domestic violence situation, but they are not aware. Like you said, they have been socialized that this is what marriage is about. Uh, um, this is an institution where you lose your dignity. It's expected, whatever it's required of you, you have to do it, even when it's away from your, chips away your self-esteem, chips away your sense of identity, chips away your sense of dignity. And sometimes people run to authority figures in their lives and they tell them, oh, well, deal with it. This was what, in fact, some people will begin to recount. Some people have said, their parents begin to recount, oh, this is what your dad used to do. This is what your mom used to do. I just kind of led, and thank goodness we are still here together. But one thing I like to emphasize sometimes is that I like longevity in marriage in terms of 15 years, 20 years. I like it. It's really great. But what I like much more than that is the quality of the relationship, the quality of the interaction that happens between the couple. So we'll not just say, oh, we are 20 years in marriage. Are they 20 years of bullying? Are they 20 years of oppression, of oppressive, making someone lose their sense of identity at the end of the day? That's what we should be thinking about. So I like the way you expanded. It's kind of quite intriguing for people who might be going through this, but because of the way they've been socialized, their cultural background, their orientation, their worldview, they're not even aware that they are experiencing such a thing as terrible as domestic violence. So that's really good. So what will you say to someone like that, where you're wearing your heart as a lawyer and you're saying that if this lady carries on like this, you see really grave danger down the road? What advice would you give to such person?
Okay, first I would say you need to seek help. Seek help. And seeking help might just be as simple as speaking to someone, right? You sometimes have people who go through these situations and they're so scared to speak. Yes, rightly so, because sometimes they've been threatened. If you speak, I will beat you. And they know that person wasn't joking when the statement was made, right? Some, even for those who may have migrated, you have some economic migrants. They are in a new society in the Western world, okay? And some of them are dependent on their spouses. So you hear things like, oh, if you speak, I'll report you to, if you're, for example, in the UK, I'll report you to the Home Office and you'll be deported. Threats like that. Okay. And what sometimes these women don't know is that there's help out there. I mean, if you are concerned and you do not have anyone in your circle, because sometimes, don't forget, the control is such that you're taking off every support system. So you feel left on your own. You're on your own, the only person in the world. You can't even speak with your parents. I have clients who will tell you that it was so bad that he would only call their parents, he would only let them speak with their parents when he is present. Okay, speaking for some female clients, right? So in a case like that, it's difficult for them to reach out to anyone. They don't even know anyone in the new country they've migrated to. But these women need to know that there are charities. Okay, one day, I know probably your phones are taking off you, but one of these days, when you have the chance, you can, even through a neighbor, ask and Google charities. The charities like Women's Aid, they're there to help people like you. Now, of course, when I speak with some clients, I hear some who say, "Oh, the last thing I want is for him to report him to the police." I understand. Okay, you can understand where they're coming from. But some of them, it's like, "Oh, he's still the father of my children." Yes, but what's important here is your life. So you need to help yourself. You can't go through the process without reporting it to the police if you don't want to, right? But you can still get the help you need. When you speak to a charity, there are charities that are out there to help you. And now, just speaking generally, there are women who do not even know that, yes, you might be in the Western world as a dependent, but there are opportunities for you to apply as victims of domestic violence. These opportunities are out there, but you need to speak to someone, you see. It won't come to you. You have to step out to go for it. When you are standing on your feet, you might just be able to seek mediation that the marriage requires. Okay, it's sad when you see people die. I've had a client die because what happened? She came the first time, Nicodemously. She sneaked in, wanted to speak to a lawyer. I mean, it's really heartbreaking when someone like that speaks to you the first time. After some weeks, she comes again. Of course, you can tell, and you can see she's in your office and she's looking around, she's cowering, she's speaking with a hushed voice, like someone is coming for her. So you can imagine the pressure she's under. And then weeks later, you hear she's dead. You hear she's dead. And you know it. You know it. The last time you probably saw her, she had bruises under her eyes. She looked awful. And you know that it just might be that thing that killed her. But she wouldn't seek help. Okay? So to stay alive, it's impacting you. You don't realize it's impacting your health. You need to seek help. Now, I would like to speak to people who may come in contact with people like this. For you and I, you might be watching me, and someone comes to you like that. The first thing, the most important thing this person needs is a listening ear. You need to listen. Don't rush this person to share his or her story. It happens to men as well, right? You need to listen. Let the person speak at his or her pace. I mean, there was a man who, when someone told me about him, the person said to me, "Oh, he's a puppy." Why? Because of how he was behaving. But that's what the domestic violence had conditioned him to. He had forgotten he was a man. He no longer acted like a man. He had lost it. Now this woman brought him from his country, his home country, okay, into the United Kingdom. And what happened? He got here and she made him her slave, financial slave, so he would work and she would take the money off him. Of course, she had threatened him. "Oh, if you don't play by the book, I'll send you back home. You go back home." And of course, it's often better where they are now than where they were coming from. So they would want to remain, you see, except for people who probably have loving family back home who would desire to want to go. But he had lost it. So in a case like that, you just need to give the listening ear. You need to listen to them. Don't judge them. Let them speak. Now, it's not in your place to tell them you have to leave the relationship. You have to leave the marriage. Or do you understand? It's their decision. Ultimately, like the woman I was saying to you, it's heartbreaking when you hear that, like in that instance, she died, right? But it's her decision, it's his decision, it's not yours. But by all means, you can suggest charities. I mean, even for people who are in developing countries, what did you not realize is there are charities, there are places, there are shelters, okay, where they can keep you for a while you find yourself, you're able to think again about how you want to go on in life. Okay, only the living can do something. You don't want to be dead. Okay, even if you want to stay there because of your children, they need you alive, right? They need you alive. So seek help, go for the help you need. Help is out there. Trust me. I know how scary it is because a lot of them are really, really scared. You can understand that. I know how scary it is. I mean, can you imagine what it feels like to have to go out and you're scared of going back home because you know what you'll be faced with at home, right? So I get you. I get you. If you're watching me right now, I understand you. I understand where you're coming from. Okay. But you must seek help. Listen, I'm a marriage advocate. It's so funny when I have to do this. But then I understand how precious your life is. I understand just how important it is for you to be alive, to see the woman, to see the man you will become tomorrow. You'll be someone great. There is an assignment for your life. You can't do it dead. So you need to seek help. Speak to someone today. Today.
Wow, that's so powerful. That's so beautifully put. I'll round off this section by and then give you an opportunity to give your final word, your final thoughts on this. I remember I read about a story of a frog that was put in hot water, and then he was in hot water, and the water was boiling. The frog didn't get out. It was boiling. The frog didn't get out. It kept on boiling. The frog kept on trusting that things would change, or finally until the frog was boiled and died. And the story was talking about that sometimes when you heat up the water to boiling point and you put a frog in there, it's probably going to jump out immediately. But when the frog if a frog is put in a water that is cold and then you begin to heat it up, for some reason, they kind of keep adjusting to the intolerant situation, believing that things will get better. So that might be the situation of some people that are in a domestic violence situation. It was all lovey-dovey from the beginning, like any other relationship will always be lovey-dovey. So you keep rationalizing, oh, it's not that bad, it's not that bad, it's not that bad. The only people that know how bad it really is are the people that are looking from out within. But you who are in the relationship, you're rationalizing it's not that bad. Please don't lose your life in the process. Seek help. Seek help, like she said. All right, I'll let you give your final thought on this before we wrap it up.
I want to believe that anyone watching this would have picked something from it. There is something you can do. Okay, if you don't know what to do, I mean, you can contact me. You can reach me on info@foundationforfamilyaffairs.org, info@foundationforfamilyaffairs.org. And I tell you, help is there. All right, even if you feel financially incapacitated, even if you feel the society is going to be against me, the world will laugh at me, you can have help, shielded help, okay? And no one would understand what's happened. You will bounce back again. You'll be surprised, okay? It's dangerous to be with a human oppressor, financial oppressor, even religious oppressors, right? They throw it at you. Yeah. Oh, okay. This is what the word of God says. No, the word God needs you alive. Okay. Deposited in you are things he wants you to do for the kingdom. Okay. If you're looking at it from that perspective. Okay, but you need to stay alive to do that. Right. So, and then conclusively, of course, we all need to seek knowledge about marriage. Marriage is doable. Marriage is beautiful. Marriage is wonderful. It is a journey that can transform your life. It's transformed man. or it is transforming mine. Okay. And that's why I believe so much in marriage. I believe in the power of two people coming together to make better their lives. So what I would encourage everyone listening is, let's seek knowledge. Go for knowledge. Go after knowledge. All right. Marriage is doable, but you need wisdom to be able to live out the principles of marriage, right? All right. And that wisdom is out there. Seek wisdom. And hey, if you're just wondering where to go, I would invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have tons of information there that would benefit you. It's been a wonderful time doing this. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. And if you find out that you are the person who is inflicting the pain and you've tried everything that you know how to do, but you keep falling back to the same pattern, seek help. Send us an information, send us a mail at info@Foundation for Family Affairs, and let's help you out. All right. Until you come your way again, don't forget to share this video, share it with people. Anybody you know might be going through a domestic violence situation. Share something. Information is power. Share this, communicate it, and they will keep in touch with you guys. All right. Until you come your way again, bye from us. Bye.